name is Mia, and today we're going to be discussing Shatter. Can't pronounce the name of the writer, so you're gonna have to read it. I'm sorry about that. But this book was my favorite book of the month of September, and I loved it so much, so I thought, why not talk about it? This is the first book of a dystopian trilogy where we follow Juliet, a girl with a special ability. Basically, her ability is that her touch is lethal. So if she touches you, there's the possibility that you'll die. In this story, we begin by getting to know Juliet a bit more. She's a girl that has quite a lot of issues. She's a girl that has been mistreated most of her life. She has been feared due to her ability, and eventually ended up locked up in an institute where she was just kept in isolation for 264 days. During this time, the only thing she had was a little notebook or notepad and a small pencil. She spent most of her free time staring out of a window, dreaming with a flying bird, because in this world, birds no longer fly, and people are for the most part starving, animals are dying, not even the sky is the same color anymore. This world is looking pretty bad, if you ask me. This is how she spends most of her time until on her 264th day of isolation, she gets a roommate due to her good behavior. So this roommate is a boy by the name of Adam. She knew this boy many years ago when she was younger, and shortly after Adam becomes her roommate, she winds up getting released, and that's when the story gets a bit more complicated. After she gets released, she meets Warner, who is one of the leaders of the establishment, who has certain plans for her. He intends to use her as a weapon. Now, this establishment system or army or whatever you like to call it, they were supposed to be the salvation for the dying human race, but winded up being a bit more than that. Not necessarily in a good way. So after she meets Warner and learns that she is to be used as a weapon, which is her biggest fear, she does not want to harm anyone, and she is scared herself of her own abilities. Basically, that's what the story is mostly about. Now, let's talk about the writing of this book. The style of writing in this book is a love or hate type of style of writing. I personally enjoyed it a lot. It's basically a series of thoughts and scratched off, sentences, some repetition going on in the words. But I really did enjoy this style of writing. I felt that it really did help to get across all of the internal struggles that Juliet went through every day. Another of the things that I really did enjoy about this book was the love relationship between Juliet and Adam. I thought it was so endearing. It was one of those things that just left me thinking about it even after I put the book down, because it was such a beautiful romance that was going on there, and I just enjoyed it so fully. However, I also side in a way with Warner. I don't know if, the romance would actually move on into that direction or not. I'm not so sure what's gonna happen, but I also sided with him. That's one of my favorite things about this book, that I really did like all the characters. I love Warner, who is the villain basically in the story, but he's such a complex villain, he's got quite a lot of similarities with Juliet, and I don't know, I like his character quite a lot. And I will say the one character that, even though I enjoyed his character and I really did like him, I didn't get to know as much about him as I feel I got to know of the other two characters, and that is Adam. I wish I would have known a little bit more of Adam, but there are still 2 more books where I can learn more about Adam, so I'm quite okay with that. The other thing that I do wish will be talked about a bit more on the next books is the world itself. I really want to know more about this world because it sounds pretty intriguing and very interesting. I just want more. I need more details about this dystopian world, and I do think we're gonna get more of that in the future. Another thing that I am also really looking forward to in the next two books is Juliet's coping with her ability. I feel that in this book at least it was mostly denial and insecurities and all that sort of things that she was feeling in regards to her abilities. There's not much coping with them or trying to learn more about them or see what I could do with them or maybe I can control it somehow. Like, there's not much of that. However, Juliet's character does grow a lot throughout this book. You can definitely see changes in her attitude and in the way she thinks as the book progresses. So I do have a strong feeling that in the next two books we're going to see her kind of learn new things about her abilities and learn how to take advantage of her abilities instead of just fear from them, if that makes any sense. Also, towards the end of the book, you get to meet more characters that sound very interesting, and I won't say who they are or what they're about because I feel that's definitely going to be a spoiler, but you are going to meet more characters, which is also going to lead you to think that this world is definitely going to be much bigger than it is. The storyline is, in my opinion, going to be much bigger than just this love triangle and this girl with special powers. I think it's going to be much more than that. But overall, I really enjoyed reading this book. I loved so many things about this book that those little things that I considered needed more work, I feel that they will most likely be reflected on the next two books, or at least that's what I'm expecting as of right now. I feel there'll be definitely more world development because the situation in this world is definitely going to take a big part on the storyline. So I do think they're going to develop more the world in the books as I read the other two books. Also, I do feel that her feelings towards her abilities are going to change drastically in the next two books. Don't necessarily want to give any spoilers, I've been trying hard not to, but as you get towards the end of this book, you kind of start to get that feeling that they are definitely going to talk a little bit more about how to control her abilities, and she's going to develop a different feeling for her abilities, and that's very exciting. So I can't wait to read the next book and the next book. And there's another book, I believe, that is from the point of view of Warner, which, as I already mentioned, is one of my favorite characters in this book, and I can't wait to hear his perspective. I think that would be very interesting. So I'll definitely be getting those other books. It was worth the read. Everyone should read it. I think the writing style was interesting. The world itself was interesting, although I wish a bit more detail on it. Her power and her ability is interesting in comparison to how she feels about it. And the love triangle was very nicely done, and I loved this book. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and it was my favorite book of the month of September. So if you have read this book, please do let me know what you thought about the book. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me how you felt about this book. Who was your favorite character on this book? And what do you think the next two books are going to tell us about them? I hope to hear your thoughts and your opinions, and I'll hope to see you soon in another video. Bye!